For months the signals have been there, scattered across ticket markets, television ratings, sponsorship chatter, and the endless digital conversations happening in every corner of sports media. But what happened during the WNBA All-Star Weekend didn't just confirm the theory, it exposed it in the most dramatic and undeniable way imaginable. The moment Caitlin Clark was ruled out of the All-Star game, the entire economic illusion surrounding the WNBA cracked wide open for everyone to see. This wasn't just another injury update or a routine roster change. It was a financial stress test, and the results were brutal. Within hours, the secondary ticket market began collapsing like a house of cards in a hurricane. Prices that had been soaring suddenly dropped off a cliff. Seats that had been selling for over $100 plunged into bargain territory almost overnight. A nearly 50% drop in ticket value didn't just represent disappointed fans, it represented a flashing red warning sign about the fragile economics behind the league's recent surge in popularity. Markets don't lie, and markets certainly don't panic without a reason. What we witnessed in real time was the sports economy delivering a brutally honest verdict about where the WNBA's momentum is actually coming from. For years, the league has tried to present a carefully balanced narrative of collective growth, shared star power, and a rising tide lifting every player equally. But the numbers that surfaced after Clark's absence told a very different story, one that many insiders have whispered about privately but rarely acknowledge publicly. When Clark plays, the league experiences a surge of attention, engagement, and revenue that looks like the beginning of a major professional sports boom. When she doesn't play, that momentum suddenly looks far less stable. Television viewership offers another window into the same uncomfortable reality. The All-Star broadcast still pulled respectable numbers compared to earlier years in the league's history, but the comparison that truly matters wasn't the one broadcasters kept highlighting. Instead of comparing the event to the previous season when Clark had played and helped generate record-shattering interest, media narratives leaned on comparisons to much older benchmarks, quietly avoiding the obvious question that fans across social media were already asking: how does losing more than 1 million viewers qualify as a historic success? That question spread like wildfire online because people are not blind to the patterns forming right in front of them. Fans who began watching the league during the Clark explosion are noticing that the electricity around games seems to fluctuate dramatically depending on whether she's involved. Ticket brokers see it in pricing algorithms. Television executives see it in viewership curves. Sponsors see it in engagement metrics. And team owners certainly see it in revenue projections. When a single athlete's presence or absence can shift market behavior that dramatically, the implications extend far beyond one game or one season. It suggests that the league's current growth trajectory may be far more dependent on a singular phenomenon than anyone within the organization is comfortable admitting. That reality creates an enormous tension between messaging and economics. On one hand, the league understandably wants to celebrate the collective talent of its athletes and promote the idea that women's basketball is thriving because of the entire ecosystem of players, coaches, and teams. On the other hand, the financial signals increasingly point toward a different conclusion, that the current surge in popularity has a clear epicenter. And when financial signals contradict public messaging, the resulting disconnect tends to produce confusion, frustration, and controversy. That tension became even more visible during the same weekend when players took the floor wearing shirts demanding higher compensation and improved revenue sharing. From a labor perspective, those demands are entirely understandable. Professional athletes in any league want their salaries to reflect the value they generate, and historically the WNBA has operated with far smaller financial resources than other major sports organizations. Yet the timing of that protest collided head-on with the sudden economic reality unfolding around Clark's absence. Fans watching the ticket market crash and hearing about declining viewership naturally began asking difficult questions about where the league's bargaining power actually originates. The conversation quickly split into competing camps across sports media and online communities. One side argued that the league's rising popularity is the result of years of hard work by countless players who helped build the foundation long before the newest wave of attention arrived. The other side pointed directly at the data, insisting that the current explosion in interest has a clear catalyst and that ignoring that catalyst risks misunderstanding the economics driving the moment. Both perspectives contain elements of truth, but the market behavior following Clark's injury made one fact impossible to ignore: the scale of her individual impact is unlike anything the league has ever experienced. Even the absence of her participation generated massive conversation and debate, which paradoxically kept the league in headlines despite the negative comparisons. That kind of gravitational pull around a single athlete is rare in any sport. It recalls moments in history when a transcendent figure temporarily transformed the economic landscape of an entire league. The WNBA, by contrast, is navigating this sudden surge while still building many of those long-term foundations. That makes the current situation both an extraordinary opportunity and a potential vulnerability. Opportunity, because a player capable of attracting millions of new viewers represents the most powerful marketing force any league could hope for. Vulnerability, because relying too heavily on one individual's star power creates risk if circumstances change. Injuries, fatigue, scheduling conflicts, or even simple shifts in public attention could produce dramatic fluctuations in engagement if the broader ecosystem has not yet caught up. That is the underlying concern quietly circulating among executives and analysts who study sports economics. Media rights agreements, sponsorship deals, and expansion plans are often negotiated based on projections about future audience growth. If those projections assume sustained engagement at levels driven by one particular phenomenon, any disruption to that phenomenon forces a reevaluation of the numbers. Advertisers track audience data with ruthless precision because every percentage point of viewership represents millions of dollars in potential exposure. When a broadcast loses a substantial share of its expected audience, sponsors notice immediately. When ticket demand swings wildly depending on a single player's availability, venue operators notice. And when financial projections start to look uncertain, investors begin asking tougher questions about sustainability. None of this diminishes the incredible talent spread across the league's rosters. The WNBA features some of the most skilled basketball players on the planet, and the level of competition continues to improve every season. But sports economics does not always align perfectly with competitive balance or athletic excellence. Popularity often concentrates around personalities who capture the imagination of casual audiences. In this case, the arrival of Caitlin Clark ignited a cultural moment that transcended traditional basketball fandom. Her long-range shooting, fearless playmaking, and record-breaking college career created a narrative arc that millions of people wanted to follow as she transitioned into the professional ranks. That narrative generated curiosity, excitement, and emotional investment from fans who had never previously paid close attention to the WNBA. The league suddenly found itself at the center of national sports conversations in ways that had rarely happened before. Television ratings climbed. Merchandise sales exploded. Arena attendance surged in cities across the country. All of those indicators signaled a breakthrough moment for women's basketball. But the All-Star Weekend incident served as a stark reminder that breakthrough moments must eventually evolve into sustainable ecosystems if long-term stability is the goal. A league cannot rely forever on a single storyline to carry its economic momentum. That doesn't mean the phenomenon should be minimized or ignored, quite the opposite. Recognizing and embracing the forces driving current interest may be the most effective way to convert short-term excitement into lasting growth. The challenge lies in balancing celebration of individual impact with development of a broader competitive narrative that keeps audiences engaged even when circumstances change. Right now, the WNBA appears to be navigating that balancing act in real time, under the intense scrutiny of fans, media analysts, and business partners who all have different interpretations of what the numbers mean. Some observers believe the league is simply experiencing the normal turbulence that accompanies rapid expansion and newfound attention. Others fear the data signals a more fragile dependency that could complicate future negotiations over salaries, revenue sharing, and broadcast rights.